Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Erin, I'm Queen Bee Tarot. I've got full-length detailed horoscopes here. February 9th to the 22nd. We are in 2025. We're already in the second month. We are burning through Aquarius season and it's about to be Pisces season, which is absolutely wild. So I'm here to give you a general overview, the quality of time, what the astrological weather forecast looks like right now. And then I'm going to jump into detailed horoscopes for all 12 zodiac signs. Timestamps and chapters will be below so that you can find the horoscope that's meant for you. But I definitely encourage you to stick around for this general overview. I will be covering things that I won't be going into big detail when I get into the individual horoscopes. So Aquarius season is a funny thing. Aquarius is linked to humanitarians, Martin Luther King Jr., inventors, people who see beyond the immediate, people who can have these amazing visions of how incredibly cohesive and healthy human societies can be. And yet right here, right now, the reality that we're dealing with, the collapse of certain societies in the face of oligarchy is pretty wild. It's pretty wild to be kind of front row seats to what could possibly be the collapse of an empire. So without getting too much deep into politics, you know, sometimes I touch on it just because politics, the world stage as a whole, these things cannot be ignored. What's happening right now should not be ignored. And if you're paying attention, you're pissed off, right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a step back from what is obvious, what's already in your faces, and I'm going to help you understand how you can use this quality of time to basically be on the healthiest, most productive path that you can be that aligns with your highest good. Now, one of the biggest things that we're dealing with is overwhelm. We are dealing with exhaustion. Somebody used a really cool phrase the other day, sympathy exhaustion or something along those lines, where we care, we very much so care, but when there is a constant barrage from the media, from the news, from individual people's posts about how hard things are, it is part of human nature to kind of tune out, turn off, because we can only hold so much in our hearts. So what helps that it is Aquarius season right now. Aquarius is represented by a person who's holding a jug of water out in front of them. The name for Aquarius is the water bearer. Now, Aquarius is an air sign. It's not a water sign. That is something that some people get confused about. It's so easy to look at this picture of water and be like, oh, Aquarius is a water sign, but it's not. Aquarius is an air sign, and while the sun is moving through Aquarius as it is right now, we are experiencing this elemental air influence. Now, in astrology, in tarot, anywhere you look, the element of air is linked to logical thoughts. And so because Aquarius is represented by a water bearer holding the water outside of them, there is an ability during this time of year to maintain a certain degree of separation between ourselves, our logic, our understanding, our perspectives, and the emotions that we are experiencing. Water is linked to emotions. So the heart, our internal process, our flow, our rhythm, right? So during Aquarius season, we are able to gain a little bit of separation when it comes to just creating a little bit of breathing room or distance between the emotions that we are experiencing, especially if those emotions are overflowing, spilling out of your cup. And we're getting this opportunity to look at what we're going through and hopefully get a logical sense of, okay, this is this and this is this, and maybe even coming up with a plan to deal with it, whether it be a plan that we're going to implement out in society or a plan that is just personal for us in our own lives. What we have here is an opportunity, like I said, to have that separation, which is amazing to take advantage of right now before we get into Pisces season. Now, when the sun moves into Pisces on Tuesday, February 18th, that is the beginning of the sun moving through a water sign. And what ends up being a little bit more tricky, a little bit more difficult anytime the sun is moving through a water sign is continuing that separation. When the sun starts moving through Pisces, it's going to be about a month-long period of feeling as though we are our emotions, that there is no separation. And when the sun moves into Pisces, which is represented by two fish swimming in opposite directions, there's going to be a higher likelihood of avoidance, escapism, disassociation, any of those things, because like I said, when we're dealing with really big emotions, we get to a place of overwhelm where we can't really be present for it all the time. It is a very healthy desire for, the brain just kind of hits its limit. The brain wants to check out at some point. So the more that we know ourselves, the more that we can logically understand that we are going through overwhelm, that our responses are absolutely valid considering what's happening, and giving ourselves a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of space, a little bit of distance, in fact. One of the best ways to deal with, a constant barrage of stress, especially if it's coming mostly from the outside world, is to spend less time on social media. It's to pick and choose what you choose to read as far as the news. Mainstream news media outlets are owned by billionaires. You're not going to get the full picture, the full story there. And when we turn on a TV, it's like kind of in our faces, right? So the more that we can create that separation, that breathing room, it's a healthy choice for you and your sanity. So what we are looking at as we start this 2-week period, February 9th to February 22nd, some of the things that just happened. Venus just moved into Aries. Now, Venus is the planet that's associated with love. That's the first thing we think of. Sorry, I'm overheating. I'm going to take off my sweater here. But Venus isn't just love. What Venus represents as a planet is comfort. Comfort. So Venus can represent the comfort that we find between ourselves and other human beings. It doesn't have to be romantic love. It can be friendships, connections like coworkers, neighbors, anything like that, right? So Venus represents comfort that we find within the context of human connection. And Venus also represents the comfort that we can find with material abundance, safety, security, having our needs met, things like that. So when Venus moves through a certain zodiac sign, it is an opportunity, it's a period of time in which there is more flow, more open doors, open opportunities when we embrace the energy of manifestation or connection in the element of whatever Venus is moving through. So as Venus moves through Aries, Aries is a fire sign. And so I did a little mini horoscope the other day about how as Venus moves through Aries, it's all about rediscovering the fierceness of our hearts. And why would I say that? Well, because Aries is associated with the planet Mars and the god of war. So when Venus moves through Aries, our love is fierce. Our love is fire. We're more likely to go to battle, literally or metaphorically, or stand up for those that we love. We get into ultra protective mode, but Aries is the fire sign that's kind of like a laser beam. So it's hyper focused when it's pointed in one particular direction. But then if you imagine like what happens when a laser beam moves away from a spot, it gets cold, right? So there's a little bit of ADD, lack of attention span, lack of consistency when Venus moves through Aries. But it does give us an opportunity to channel our love in a fiercely protective or vigilant kind of way. And what makes this different from, Venus just finished moving through Pisces, like I was saying about Pisces, it's a water sign, it's a little bit avoidant, two fish going in separate directions. When Venus was moving through Pisces, it was, it's all good, knight in shining armor, best case scenario, rose-colored glasses. Venus in Pisces is very, very, very romantic, but it will avoid the truth. It will avoid confrontation. It will ignore red flags, for example, because it's so fairy tale as far as how the energy is channeled. Now, Venus moving through Aries right now, here's what's really interesting. Venus is going to move mostly through Aries, and then in a few weeks, it's actually going to go retrograde. And when it does, it's going to go backwards through Aries. It's going to go back into Pisces, and then it's going to come back through Pisces and through Aries again. So Venus is going to do this dance between Aries and Pisces for basically the first half of the year until mid-April. And what we are invited to do as Venus goes back and forth through these two signs is find that happy medium between best case scenario and the fierceness of our hearts. One or the other is too much. They both sort of represent extremes. You know, Pisces is the extreme of rose-colored glasses, not tuned into reality at all, just living on hope and a prayer and a dream. Whereas Venus in Aries is fierce and tough, but also a little bit too fiery and too spicy. Both have admirable qualities, but one without the other is too much, if that makes sense. So for the first half of the year, as Venus moves through those two signs, it is going to be a personal and collective experience in which we are all being invited to find that happy medium between hoping for the best, but also potentially planning for the worst, right? Now, the other thing that happened is Jupiter just moved direct. Jupiter, among the other outer planets, go retrograde for multiple months throughout every year. It's pretty typical. So Jupiter just finished being retrograde in the sign of Gemini for a few months, and now that it has finally moved direct, it is on its way to move into Cancer for the first time in 14 years. So as Jupiter finishes its journey through Gemini over the next month or so, actually a couple months, we are going to be invited to kind of retrace our steps when it comes to themes of freedom within social and professional connections. The zodiac sign Gemini is represented by the twins. It's talking, it's networking, it's crowdsourcing. It's all about using the gift of gab or the professional or personal connections we have in order to make magic happen. Jupiter is a planet that represents freedom, philosophy, expansion, thinking outside the box, attaining those dreams, reaching for those goals, and maybe perhaps embracing new philosophies, new education, new understanding, new information in order to facilitate whatever journey we are on. So while Jupiter has been retrograde, it has been a journey of going deep within to figure out what is it that I believe. What sort of doors do I see that are open and what sort of doors are closing? And how is my perspective? How is my headspace? How are my beliefs either continuing to have open doors or continuing to close doors? Because sometimes our journey of freedom, expansion, shooting for the stars, reaching for those goals, sometimes we end up against these obstacles, these brick walls. There are times that the obstacles we encounter are there because some outside source, right? But quite often, especially when we have the opportunity to pause and think and reflect, it becomes apparent that the reason obstacles exist are sometimes because of what's happening in here or in here, that we don't believe in ourselves, that we stop ourselves before jumping into an opportunity. If you haven't seen it already, I did year-long horoscopes for 2025, and one of the things I talked about, the title of those horoscopes, is No Rules, or New Year, New Rules. And basically the idea is we are about to go through a major reset, because Saturn and Neptune are going to be joining together at 0 degrees Aries, which is the first degree of the entire zodiac. So personally, collectively, globally, we are all going through what is known, what astrologers are calling the Great Reset. It's a big deal, and it is much like the birthing process. There's going to be a lot of pain, blood, sweat, and tears, and on the other side of it, things are not going to look the same. We are going through a huge shift. And so the more that we can be conscious and aware of how our belief systems, how the things we talk about, the things we think about, how are those things deeply intertwined with the realities that we live in and the realities that we co-create. Because one of the biggest things that's been coming up a lot lately is misinformation. When people build their lives around misinformation, when people make personal, professional, political choices, around misinformation. What we're all seeing right now is the after effects of the bubble being popped, that all bets are off, all rules are out the window. It is crystal clear what is happening right now, and we have a choice to either pay attention and work with it and do our best to align with the light, align with what is good and right, or we can continue to kind of bury our heads in the sand and go la 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 la, and things will just keep rolling on their own volition. So one of the biggest things also that's happening right now is that Mars, which is currently retrograde until the end of February, Mars is retrograde in Cancer. So that means that the action that we're taking is, Cancer is a zodiac sign associated with motherhood, compassion, but basically like deep, deep, deep nurturing feelings. When Mars, the planet of action, is in the zodiac sign Cancer, it means that the action we are taking is full of big emotions. For Mars to be retrograde in Cancer means that in order to move forwards right now, we have to do a lot of backstepping. We have to do a lot of moving backwards, figuring out where we went wrong, figuring out where we didn't see things as clearly as we could have. And then when Mars comes out of retrograde at the end of February, it's going to very slowly retrace its steps through Cancer and then back into Leo. So the action that we're taking right now, it feels slow, it feels stuck, it feels stagnated, it feels very mucky as far as our desire to move forwards, but feeling as though there are huge insurmountable obstacles against us. You could be experiencing this in a small way, in a big way, personally, collectively, professionally. There's a lot of different ways that this energy might be coming through. But if we can kind of visualize, I like to use metaphors. You know, let's say that you were on a forest walk and you never walked down that trail before, and you're trying to follow a map, and you realize that you're lost. As soon as we realize that we're lost, what you're supposed to do is see if you can retrace your steps and figure out where it went wrong. And that's basically the collective energy here right now. For Venus to be moving out of Pisces now and into Aries is a suggestion that in order to move with love, in order to truly anchor in compassion and respect and honorable behavior, we have to retrace our steps and figure out where we went wrong, where we might be misinformed, where we might be stuck in ego, where we might be realizing that what we believe or what we thought we believed turned out to not be correct. There's a lot of confusion right now. There's a lot of having to basically move without a map and make our way through the dark. So if you're feeling overwhelmed right now, if you're experiencing compassion exhaustion or sympathy overload, you're definitely not alone. But what's really important is to not completely check out. What's really important is to be able to take a step back every now and then, fill your cup, give yourself love and compassion and patience, and then when you're ready, re-enter that battle, re-enter the world or whatever it is that you need to do or need to tackle. One step at a time is really important. 1 minute at a time, 1 day at a time, 1 step at a time. Be gentle with yourselves and be compassionate, because everybody's going through it right now, that's for sure. Now, Sunday, February 9th, that's today, we have what's called a Cazimi. And a Cazimi is a word taken from Arabic astrology, some of the original pioneers of the astrology that we use today. Pardon me. The Cazimi is an Arabic word that means in the heart of the sun, or in the heart of the flame. Because if you were standing on Earth and you're looking at the sun, please don't look at the sun with your straight eyeballs, but if you were looking at the sun and the planet Mercury or any other planet moved in front of the sun, it would appear as if it was being swallowed up by flame. And so the Cazimi that we're having today is the Sun and Mercury being in the exact same spot in Aquarius. What's really cool about Cazimis in astrology is that they're kind of like a light bulb moment, an aha moment, either of awakening, realization, breakthroughs, clarity of some sort. And because this Cazimi is happening in Aquarius, the visionary, the humanitarian, the inventor, there is very high potential today for figuring out something. It could be a realization that helps you gain clarity moving forwards. It could be a missing piece of the puzzle, some sort of clue that helps you click everything into place. So as much as you can, if you have any big ideas, brainstorms, realizations today, see if you can write them down, because it's going to be very useful information moving forwards. And the other thing happening today is that Mars, which is retrograde in Cancer, forms a really supportive angle to Saturn, which is in Pisces. So again, suggesting that the more that we're willing to do that deep dive in our own psychology and our own awareness, the more that we are willing to pursue being awake, being tuned in, being clear about either what's happening inside of us or what's happening around us, and being willing to retrace our steps if we need to, that's what's going to help us move forwards in the healthiest, best way possible. So it's not always fun retracing our steps, but that is exactly the vibe right now. What happens on Monday is that Mercury, which is in Aquarius, is going to form a challenging square to Uranus. So part of this realization process is also going to potentially involve unexpected news, shocking realizations, basically like the Band-Aid being ripped off, as far as oh shit kind of moments, or darn it, I was right, or darn it, I was wrong, or whatever the case may be. But the energy right now is that to be awake is also to be uncomfortable. And being uncomfortable is not something that the human brain or body enjoys very much. Our autopilot is going to be to check out. No matter how much you think you are an awake person, the fact of the matter is, if the truth is too uncomfortable, if tuning into what's going on is too uncomfortable, there's a part of you that's going to want to run away. Be gentle with yourself. That's natural. That's normal. And to notice that tendency is going to help you support yourself and potentially other people moving forwards. But yeah, Mercury square Uranus today is definitely surprising news, but also the need for adjustments. If we realize we're not on the right path, there's no sense in continuing. You got to make adjustments. If you realize that you have been operating under false pretenses, if you realize that something you thought or you believed, something you heard, something you saw, if you realize it wasn't true, you can't continue on that path and end up where you want to be. No matter what, that energy of surprising realizations, one way or another, is going to lead to retracing your steps, going back over something. But in doing so, we have the opportunity to rectify things, to either make repairs, to reassess, or recalibrate the direction that we're going in. So not exactly, the most fun energy right now, but here's what I want to tell you. If you are willing to approach this now, it is going to be far easier than it will be in a month or 2 months. Things are going to get extremely stressful in the astrological end of things between March and July. So basically, like the whole spring into the beginning of summer, astrologically is going to be profoundly stressful. The little sneak peek that we have right now, because Venus is starting to give us a soft, gentle sneak peek into what we need to understand or what we need to do. This sneak peek right now is the gentle version. So if you are willing to have your eyes open and make any necessary adjustments right now, I'm telling you, it's going to be far easier now than it will be in a few months. So yeah. Wednesday, February 12th, we have a full moon. So part of this increasing tension right now is because we are leading up to a full moon. With the sun in Aquarius, the full moon is going to be in Leo. Aquarius is very, it is a perspective of looking out for the greater good. Leo is a perspective of looking out for our greatest good. One is collective, one is personal. Again, every zodiac sign in astrology has kind of its opposite point, and the extreme of anything is going to be too much. What we have in these opportunities is the catalysm of balance. It is only by recognizing extremes that we can figure out where the balance, where the middle, where the Goldilocks zone is, right? Often as kids, as adults even, we explore extremes and then kind of make our way back to that happy medium, that Goldilocks zone. It's not that there are wrong ways of living your life. It is always going to be this human experience of stumbling our way through and then eventually figuring it out. So let yourself make mistakes. Let yourself realize that maybe you or your choices or your perspectives need a little bit of adjustment, and that's not the end of the world. If you're willing to do the work, if you're willing to be honest with yourself, with other people, if you're willing to have your eyes open, there is so much potential right now for realigning on your highest path. And then shortly after the full moon in Leo, now see, the full moon in Leo is going to shine a light on that balance between me versus we. How can I live a heart-centered life and also live in alignment with the hearts of the people around me? It is going to become really, really obvious around the full moon in Leo who is self-serving, who is only looking out for themselves versus who is genuinely thinking of humanity, the greatest good, being a decent human being. Full moons have a way of exposing extremism, and this is definitely going to be one of those. I also printed out a chart for the full moon where we have a very rigid T-square. This always confused me when I got into astrology. I'm like, it's not a square, it's a triangle. But it's kind of like the carpentry tool called a T-square. It helps you measure a 90-degree angle. So the T-square in astrology is kind of like a thorn in your side. It's kind of like a flat tire. There's a sense that things are wonky and difficult and profoundly challenging. And we often find ourselves circling around those 3 points involved in the T-square. So one of them is the moon in Leo, indicating that our emotions, are going to be a bit self-centered right now. It's a very human thing. But because the sun is in Aquarius, we have an opportunity to recognize any self-centered or silly egotistical behavior and go, hey, wait a minute, let me just kind of bring myself back from that a minute, and lean into how can I be more humanitarian? How can I be more of an evolved, awesome human being? How can I align my headspace, my thoughts, my words, and my perspectives with a desire to be nurturing, with a desire to be in good relationships with the people around me, the earth underneath my feet? How can I live in alignment with my highest ideals, right? Now, Uranus being at the bottom corner of this T-square here indicates that one of the biggest things that we're dealing with is change that is forced upon us, change that we did not vote for, change that goes against the fiber of everything good. It's a little bit traumatic, kind of what's happening right now, and shocking. So the question becomes, how can I maintain my sanity in the face of everything that is going on, right? I don't necessarily have big answers. What I want to do is support you. I want to validate you, and I want to help you understand that if you are kind of freaking out right now, that is a valid response to what's happening. So the pathway to dealing with any of these massive, overwhelming emotions is, number one, to sit with them and go, hey, this emotion is absolutely valid considering what I'm going through. One of the hardest things that we do to ourselves, one of the hardest things that we experience is when we're having a big emotion and then our logical brain goes, I shouldn't be having that emotion. Well, the fact of the matter is you're having it. So no amount of thinking that you shouldn't or thinking that you can't is going to change anything. The fact is you're having that emotion. So instead of arguing with yourself, holding space, start there. Just hold space and go, yep, I'm overwhelmed right now. Yep, I'm pretty stressed out or scared or freaked out right now. And don't try and talk yourself out of it. Because it's a lot like, can you imagine like a little kid who's like, hey mom, hey mom, hey mom, hey mom. If you ignore them, they just get louder. Well, you've got one of those little 2-year-olds inside of your heart. Everybody does. And so if your heart is saying, hey, I'm experiencing these emotions, and you're like, yeah, whatever, it's not going to stop. It's going to keep going until it gets your attention. So the best way to deal with our poor, beautiful little hearts is to say, yeah, I hear ya. I'll sit with you. Let's make a cup of tea. If you want to cry, if you want to scream into a pillow, if you want to call up your congressman and tell them to get off their butts and do a better job fighting for democracy, whatever your cup of tea is, right? But self-care is really important. Validating your emotions is really important. And yeah, working through changes that we did not necessarily choose is part of what's making things really, really challenging right now. Now, anytime in astrology that we see this big T-square like this, the question becomes, how can I utilize the opposite point in order to potentially round things out or embrace something that I'm lacking right now? Now, the opposite point is occupied, well, it's in Scorpio. There aren't any major planets there, but it's halfway between Vesta and Juno. Juno is all about taking our experiences, no matter how crappy, and returning with compassion instead of hatred. Hate doesn't fix anything. Hate is a natural response, but when we act from a place of hate, it only creates more problems. To act from a place of love is not about being on the receiving end of abuse or brutal behavior. Love says, I have a boundary and I am not tolerating this, but I am not going to go about causing people harm. That comes from hate. Love sets a boundary. And that's that. Love creates healthy boundaries. Love creates safety. Love approaches with compassion. But it's all about do no harm, but take no shit, right? And if you see someone going through shit, stand up for them. Speak out. That's what a decent, evolved human being does, right? So seeing these opposite points, we've got Juno, which is approaching with compassion, and Vesta, which is all about what is my highest path? What is the most honorable, dignified, respectful way of being an evolved human being that I could be right now? So it's a very challenging, very conflict-ridden and stressful energy that we are approaching with the full moon. But then right after the full moon, you know, it's always this tense buildup up to the full moon, and then after about a day or two, the energy very quickly subsides. And what's going to come in almost immediately after the full moon is Wednesday, February 12th. February 14th, Mercury moves into Pisces. It's a very sweet, soft, speaking love, sending Valentine's kind of vibe. So immediately after the full moon, to have Mercury move into Pisces is going to be like a calming down, sweetness, but there is a risk of avoidance, tapping out essentially when we kind of hit our limit. But like I said, in small doses, avoiding stress is an essential part of coping with ongoing stress. You can't be tuned into it all the time. It is important to take breaks every now and then, as long as it's not a permanent break from reality, right? So first Mercury moves into Pisces, and then February 18th, the Sun moves into Pisces. So like I said, as we finish up, as we wrap up Aquarius season here, it's a great opportunity to get a bigger picture perspective of what's happening either for yourself or in the world, whatever it is you're trying to look at. Aquarius season is great for eyes wide open, but not being too overwhelmed. We can get that distance, we can process our experiences and come up with a plan moving forwards. And then once we move into Pisces season, it's going to be profoundly harder to have that separation, because Pisces is a water sign. So it's going to feel during Pisces season like the emotions are more like a deluge that we can't quite escape. So if you need to see the bigger picture and make a plan, I would definitely encourage you to do it over the next couple of weeks before Pisces season. All right. So that's what I've got for everyone. That's my general overview. I'm going to reset here and get ready to do the individual horoscopes for all 12 signs. Timestamps and chapters will be below, and I will see you at your horoscope. Hello, my friends. All right, so Aries Sun and Aries Rising, welcome to your horoscopes. Now, Venus just moved into your sign, and because Venus is going to go retrograde in a little bit, it's actually going to be dancing in and out of your sign from now until April. So what's really, really cool about that is Venus brings sweetness, softness, blessings. Venus is associated with the receiving of manifestations and abundance, whereas Mars is kind of like going after things. Now, Mars is your planetary ruler, and so for Venus to be in your sign is actually a blessing because your baseline, your energetic frequency is much more aligned to Mars, which is like, let's freaking go. Let's go get that bread, you know? Whereas Venus moving through your sign and kind of coming in and out of your sign over the next few months is an opportunity for you to teach yourself that you don't have to hustle all the time. Teach yourself that you can just be an amazing human being and be in alignment with your life, with the universe, with the force, whatever it is, and receive in a way that feels healthy, in a way that feels like you're not completely burning yourself out just to survive. Venus moving through your sign means that people are going to see you in a really positive and beautiful light. You may even feel extra fancy. You may feel more comfortable in your body, comfortable in your life. You may feel like you just have a better glow about you, anything like that. And this could be, you know, even if you're an Aries Sun or an Aries Rising, it's still going to have the same effect of really helping you soften in an all-together kind of way. Being gentler with yourself, being less stressed out, really feeling like you're kind of settling in an awesome way into your life. So that's a huge blessing. The other thing that's happening is that Jupiter started moving direct. Jupiter was retrograde for the past few months, and now that it's moving direct, it's going to really pick things up in your social life because it's in your third house of communication and networks. So this could be social invitations, or it could also be professional connections. It's going to feel like the amount of emails or phone calls or invitations that you receive is going to just completely take off, which is going to be a huge difference to when Venus was retrograde. You might have felt more, or Jupiter was retrograde, excuse me. While Jupiter was retrograde over the last few months, you may have felt more reclusive. You might have felt like you didn't want to send or look at those emails. You didn't want to make those phone calls. You didn't want to be social. But now that Jupiter is moving direct over the next few months, you're going to be like, actually, I do feel like going out. Actually, I don't mind sending that email or making that phone call, whatever it is. So it's going to feel like that resistance is gone, or at least less than it used to be. And the way that you can take advantage of this is if there were people that you've been kind of putting on the back burner and you need to call or follow up with, do it now. It's going to feel easier. And they're not going to be mad at you because of Venus and Aries. They're going to be like, oh, I love you. It's totally okay that you were late, or it's totally okay that you didn't send that email. So this is a great opportunity for you to kind of smooth things over, especially in the realm of communication, but also in business, because the third house does refer to small businesses and self-employment. So if you happen to be self-employed or running a small business, this is going to be an amazing bonus for you over the next few months of more gigs, more money, more contracts, more connections, really, really, really feeling like things are flowing in a beautiful way for you. So yay! The Sun and Mercury have a Cazimi today. A Cazimi is when the Sun appears to kind of swallow up a planet, but it is associated, especially in Aquarius, it's associated with these light bulb moments of realizations and big awesome ideas and stuff. So the Cazimi that's happening today actually is going to be lighting up your 11th house. Again, suggesting that there's an opportunity in your community or perhaps in the world where you're going to feel accepted, understood, you're going to feel like you belong, you're going to feel like you finally made it in some way. Because the 11th house is our extended circle, the community that we fit into, or the larger groups that we integrate ourselves into. It's also associated with arts and music and the ways in which we kind of channel our individual gifts in this lifetime. So lots of really beautiful positive omens for you guys. Now the challenge is that the Sun and Mercury are forming a square to Uranus. So Uranus being in your second house may kind of anchor you to this third dimension reality in a way that you're like, oh, I'd love to go be social, but I don't have enough time, or I don't have enough money, or I don't have enough energy. So be mindful of the ways in which you kind of sabotage yourself by saying, I can't, or I don't know if I can, or what if they don't like me, or a lot of what's happening is that you may have a deflated version or vision of your own self-worth. You may not realize how much people like you, appreciate you, need you, whatever the case may be. So if it feels like all these opportunities, these energies are starting to open up, but the greatest obstacle is that you can't get yourself in motion, then it's going to be time to do a deep dive and figure out where you might be kind of popping your own balloons of joy, where you might be self-sabotaging or holding yourself back, possibly for fear of failure, right? But I gotta tell you, the potential right now is amazing for everything to really start to click together for you. So best thing you can do is give yourself a chance, right? Worst case scenario, it doesn't work out, but best case scenario, you could do amazing things. We are going to have a full moon in Leo on, when is that? Sorry, February 12th, not that long away, just a few days away, actually. So on February 12th, we have a full moon in Leo, which is going to be a huge bonus for you guys because it's another fire sign like you. And it's going to be in your 5th house of creativity, pleasure, joy, fun, connections, feeling like a kid again, feeling like you got that extra pep in your step again. So the astrology for you guys over the next 2 weeks is actually pretty bonkers amazing. And it's kind of like a sunny day. We don't even necessarily realize the opportunity we have. So definitely make the most of it. It's full of potential for you guys. Now, when the Mercury and the Sun move into Pisces, it's going to be around the, Mercury moves into Pisces the 14th. The Sun moves into Pisces on the 18th. It's going to be activating your 12th house. So the difference between all the planets being in your 11th house, which is community, belonging, connections, friendship, yada, yada, when the planets start moving into your 12th house, you might have a sense of I'm invisible, or I'm isolated, or even asking yourself, what was I thinking? Because there's going to be this contrast between life showing you that you're an amazing human being. You're good enough, you're smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like you. But the biggest obstacle that's happening for you right now is allowing your psyche, allowing your perspectives to catch up with that, to validate that, to see that and go, yeah, actually, I do have something to offer. You are a magical being, but what you're going to find is that you may start to doubt that. You may start to drown or struggle in a cloud or a pea soup of self-doubt. So if that comes up for you, just keep in mind, oh, that's my silly brain getting in the way again. It's something that's very common as far as the human experience, that we all struggle with self-doubt. And so the biggest thing for you guys over the next 2 weeks is going to be question everything. Why do I doubt myself? Why do I fear this? Why do I avoid this? Because in asking those questions, you're going to tap into some really important answers, some really important realizations about how you might be in your own way. So it's going to be good stuff. Any sense of feeling stuck really is going to be about figuring out the contrast, figuring out the difference between the connections that you have, and what's happening for you up here. How are you perceiving the world around you? And maybe if you've got some foggy lenses, to use a metaphor, you might need to clean your perspective a little bit, just like if you had glasses that were dirty, because there is an element right now of you not seeing your greatness as clearly as other people can see it. So let yourself be loved. I hope you guys have an amazing time. Happy full moon. Thank you for being here. Definitely go check out your 2025 horoscopes on my channel. And I will see you guys next time. Mwah. Bye. Okay. Taurus Sun and Taurus Rising. Hello, my friends. Welcome to your horoscopes. Venus just moved into Aries, which means that is your second house. You know what's funny? I'm just realizing I did this wrong. That's not it. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. Because I'm like, there's no way. It's not Taurus's second house. I'm going to reset this. 3, 2. Okay, let's try that again. Taurus Sun and Taurus Rising, welcome to your horoscopes. I'm going to start out by talking about Venus in Aries because that just happened and Jupiter just went direct. Kind of sets the tone for where we're at right now. Venus moving into Aries is your 12th house. The 12th house is mysteries, it is spirituality, it's your dream space, it's your subconscious, but the long and the short of it is that it's hidden. It's not necessarily an aspect of yourself that you can tangibly feel or touch. It's your imagination, it's the skeletons in the closet, it's all that stuff, right? But Venus brings sweetness, gentleness, softness to everything that it touches, even though it is moving into Aries, which is a wee bit spicy. But for Venus to move into your 12th house is going to have a softening effect to the skeletons in your closet, to the things that you struggle with in private, whether it be mental health issues, trouble sleeping, insomnia, whatever it is that you've got going on in here, whatever hidden battles you are currently fighting, Venus is going to give you a boost. Venus is going to help you approach those things with more softness, more compassion towards yourself, perhaps towards other people if that's what's needed. And it's going to be an opportunity for you to be brave enough or courageous enough to deal with any skeletons in your closet, to maybe seek professional help if you need a therapist, or to get some things off your chest, to clean out the closets in your house, literally, whatever it is. But Venus moving through your 12th house is an amazing opportunity for you to confront some things that might have felt scary or heavy or hard in a way where you're just going to have that extra strength. You're going to have that extra stamina, and you're going to have that extra self-love that says, I'm worth it. I deserve to be healthy and happy. I deserve to be treated respectfully, not just by other people, but also by myself. Because one of the biggest things that we might be coming to realize is that our headspace is not a safe space. And if so, we need to recognize where and when we are bullying ourselves and maybe not being very nice. You know, the world out there is not often a very nice place. I mean, it can be, but the least we can do is provide safe space in our heads and our families and our homes, so that it is a sanctuary away from the chaos of the world, right? So that's the biggest thing starting the week, that you may notice that it's a little bit softer inside your head or inside your heart. Now, Venus moving through Aries means that it's all about fierce love. I love myself enough to set boundaries and enforce them. I'm going to be kind, but I'm also not going to take any shit, right? And that's the vibe of Venus in Aries. Now, Jupiter just started moving direct. Jupiter is freedom, expansion. It's also luck and prosperity. And it's also learning opportunities. So, excuse me. With Jupiter moving direct, it is in your second house right now. If you have felt that finances, resources have been either really, really hard to come by or non-existent, then you're going to find that Jupiter direct loosens up money. It's going to help you have an easier time accessing money, resources, food, housing, whatever it is. There's going to be some sort of a shift either in whatever it is that was happening inside of you or the opportunities that lie outside of you. But Jupiter moving direct is going to be amazing to help you feel more financially and physically secure and safe in your life. So if you had been trying to do something and you hadn't been able to break through, this is a great opportunity to try again. Even if it didn't work before, try again. The Sun and Mercury form a Cazimi today, very light bulb moment, aha moment kind of vibe. And because it's happening in Aquarius in your 10th house, that's another sign that as far as the direction that you wanted to go in, if it felt like things were stagnated or stuck, try again, because some sort of new opportunity or a new way of approaching old problems is going to help you make that breakthrough that you've been trying for such a long time. The 10th house is career. It's long-term plans. It could be setting up your estate, buying a house, securing a career or a professional role, things like that. These are not quick fixes or quick manifestations, but these are things that really matter a lot to us. And so if your heart is still calling you in a direction, this is a great opportunity for you to try again, even if it didn't work before, especially if there's a new way of approaching this old problem. Now Uranus is in the first house. The Sun and Mercury and the Cazimi that they form is forming a square to Uranus. And I was talking about this in the beginning of the video about how often we give up because it feels like we have insurmountable obstacles. But with Uranus being in your first house, there's something about either you being stubborn or you being unwilling to change that's part of the problem. And I don't mean to throw shade on you, my love. It's just in the astrology. With Uranus in the first house, if you can change the way that you present yourself, you will find that the obstacles are not what they used to be. And it doesn't mean change who you are. It means change how you present yourself. Either the energy or the words that you're using or the path that you're walking. The path that you want to be on is there. And so even if you tried to get there before and it didn't work, if you can change your approach, if you can change, your energy, your directive, you will be able to get there. So that's what's coming through for you guys. And then there is a full moon in Leo on February 12th that is going to activate your 4th house. Now, a full moon is always this peak of energy, and in your 4th house, that's either your heart space or your literal home. It may feel as though the energy within your household is bonkers right now, or you might also be experiencing a metaphorical heart explosion. Now, sometimes it is by making a breakthrough that all of a sudden the waterworks start. We start to cry or release emotions that have been pent up or corked for a long time. And it's quite possible that that's going to be part of your process. Sometimes we go through a crisis of faith or crisis of self, where we feel as though we are incapable of achieving something, when in reality we are more than capable, but often something needs to change in order for us to get there. So I want you to remember, you are an amazing human being. It's not that you have to change who you are. There's a part of your exterior. It's like changing your shoes, changing your outfit. I got a funny joke for you. So this string walks into a bar and the bartender's like, oh, we don't serve strings here. So the string goes outside and he ties himself up and he messes up his hair and he goes into the bar and the bartender's like, hey, aren't you that string? And he says, nope, I'm afraid not. Right? So sometimes it's about how you present yourself. There's nothing wrong with you. You're an amazing human being. But sometimes by changing how we present ourselves, that we can find that open door, we can find that receptivity, we can find that opportunity that we've been looking for a long time. And then when the Sun and Mercury move into Pisces, it's going to activate your 11th house. So towards the end of the month, well, around the 15th and the 18th, as Mercury and the Sun move into Pisces, it's going to feel for you like, oh my God, things are finally flowing. I'm finding that acceptance, that belonging, that understanding that you've always been looking for. So keep searching. It is there. Keep trying. You will definitely find a way. And then if you are still feeling stuck, one of the things you might be realizing is that your values are not matching your connections. Sometimes we feel alone, isolated, misunderstood, but the reality is that we're just not with like-minded people. We're just not with kindred spirits. So you may find that if you change who you're interacting with or change who it is that you're talking to, that's where you're going to find the acceptance, the belonging, and the understanding that you've been craving. So awesome. Well, that's what I've got for you guys. Mwah! Sending you all my love. If you haven't seen it already, definitely go check out your 2025 horoscopes. I did a year ahead preview. It is on my channel, so definitely go have a look. And yeah, happy full moon. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Hello, hello. All right, let me just scratch out Taurus here. Gemini Sun and Gemini Rising. Welcome to your horoscopes, my friends. We are looking at the full moon in Leo. As we approach this full moon in Leo, as with most full moons, there is a sense that there's like increasing tension and energy. But directly after the full moon, Mercury and the Sun move into Pisces. So it will be short-lived. The peak of the tension is going to be at the full moon and before it. So if you feel overwhelmed, don't worry, you're not alone. As much as you can, embrace self-care and tune out whenever you need to, just as long as you come back to reality. So yeah, what we've got for you, we're looking at Venus just moved into Aries. Venus is the planet of love, trust, relationships, comfort, all that yummy stuff. But moving into Aries is not exactly where Venus is at home. Venus is softness, but Aries is the warrior. And so it's this funny dichotomy of balancing being loving, but also having very strong boundaries, right? You can be a loving and kind person and still on occasion tell people to F off and then go back to being a really nice person. To be a nice person doesn't mean you have to be perfect. To be a nice person does not mean you have to be a doormat. And these might be realizations that you come through over the next couple of months, because Venus is going to be in Aries and then it's going to go retrograde into Pisces and then it's go back into Aries. So it's going to be an ongoing learning experience regarding the fierceness of our hearts. So Venus being in Aries is your 11th house. That's community as a whole. It's not so much like your VIP people. It's the people you see in your neighborhood. It's the people, the greater groups of belonging, whether you belong to a special interest group, you're an artist, you're a musician, whatever the case may be. It's that sense of, even in this crazy world, I kind of have a place. Now, with Venus moving through your 11th house, you might be wondering that, do I have a place? What's up with this crazy world, right? But what's really important is to remember that as a Gemini, there are millions of fractal sides of your personality. And so one of the things you guys might be going through is a little bit of ADD when it comes to when and where you want to interact with other human beings. You might find, especially with Venus moving through Aries, which is kind of like a laser beam, you might find that you have a very short attention span when it comes to conversations, connections, social opportunities, and things like that. You guys have always been known as a social butterfly. This is going to amp that up by a lot. And it's not, it really just comes down to what floats your boat, what makes you feel loved and accepted and things like that. And that could change by the minute. That could change by the day. This is going to be one of those parts of your life where you might end up floating between all these different groups, getting a sense of like, oh, I get to be this part of me over here, and I get to be this part of me over here. But you might keep coming back to, where do I get to be all of me? And what would that even look like? So big existential questions for you guys. And when it comes to answering existential and philosophical questions, that's Jupiter's game. Jupiter just went direct. It was retrograde for months, and now that it's moving direct, the planet of freedom and luck and opportunities, it's like it's finally unleashed, which is great, and it happens to be in your sign. So you may feel extra free. You may feel extra unleashed and untethered. So one of the biggest things is, as you have these social or professional opportunities, as you float like a butterfly in the world over the next few months, one of the biggest things, like I was saying, is you might be looking for, where can you be completely yourself, or as close to it as you can. Because with Jupiter moving through your sign, you are going to be pretty much deep in thought about, who am I? What do I think? What do I believe? And how does that co-create my reality? So deep in thought, you're going to be seeking out conversation, but not just random, shallow conversation. You're going to be really wanting to connect with people who have deep, interesting conversations about life, the universe, everything, right? That's going to be your love language for the next little bit. Now, the Sun and Mercury just are having a Cazimi today in Aquarius. Aquarius is an air sign just like yourself. It's happening in your 9th house of philosophy. So it's definitely like, that's the theme for you guys. Thinking about belief systems, thinking about perspectives, and quite possibly being bored with what you already know. And one of the biggest themes of Jupiter is new, more. What was that album? Bigger, better, faster, more. So the Cazimi happening in your 9th house is this like light bulb moment kind of energy. Your 9th house is new and more. You see, they're all connecting the dots. Basically, you are going to either be profoundly bored with yourself, with your life, with the connections that you have, or all of the above, and you are going to be seeking newness like it's nobody's business. Basically, as you move forwards, with Uranus in your 12th house, you are going to be deeply uncomfortable with not knowing things. You're going to be really uncomfortable or unhappy with confusion, ambiguity, vague answers, anything like that. You're going to want to know the truth. You're going to want to explore your options. You're going to want to find out all the details, which has always been your vibe, but it's going to be turned up to the max over the next little bit. And this is all leading to a full moon in Leo in your 3rd house. So by the time we get to the full moon on Wednesday, February 12th, you're going to probably be feeling quite social and want to be somewhere where you can really shine brightly. Leo is the zodiac sign like Madonna, like Vogue. You know what I mean? Whether you want to go dance or sing or just have an opportunity to really kind of shake off the weight of the world and enjoy yourself, that's really where it's at. But it's not about wearing another mask. It's about being able to take the mask off. It's about being able to be the most authentic version of yourself and feel free doing it, not fearful. And so as you are more and more motivated to live an authentic life and surround yourself with authentic people, as the Sun and Mercury move into Pisces around the 15th and the 19th of this month, they're going to be activating your 10th house, which means that anything you're experiencing over the next week or so is going to be the foundation of the path that you set moving forward. So there's this big energy for you guys right now of leaving the past behind, leaving the old you behind, and quite possibly leaving behind old connections, personal or professional, maybe leaving behind old communities, whatever it is that you feel like you're outgrowing. Because what's happening is that you're almost like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. You may feel like you can't even speak the same language. So this desire for your authenticity to be reflected back to you in a way that is safe and invigorating and compassionate is going to be your prime directive moving forwards for the next little bit. And one of the biggest things is that if you seek it, it will be there. If you dream it, you can be it. But you may find that your habitual responses, your old ways of doing things, your old patterns of behavior, that might be the biggest obstacle for you moving forwards. But you're an infinite being. You can be anything you want to be. So that's what I got for you guys. If you haven't seen it already, I did do forecasts for the full year 2025. That big video is on my channel if you want to go check it out. And yeah, have an amazing full moon. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time. Mwah. Bye. All right. Cancer Sun and Cancer Rising. Welcome to your horoscopes, my friends. Venus just moved into Aries. Venus is the receptive version of manifestation. It brings sweetness, comfort, connection. And the ultimate ideal of Venus is to feel secure and safe. And even though these can be very elusive goals, Venus moving into your 10th house is going to be offering a bit of a concrete path moving forwards that will give you that connection, that security, that safety, whatever it looks like. But the thing about Venus moving into Aries, it's funny because Venus is softness and receptivity. It's Mars that's like, let's freaking go. Mars rules Aries. So for Venus to be in Aries means that softness, that receptivity, it's almost like there isn't really space to be too soft right now. We have to be a little bit of a hard ass when it comes to loving fiercely, being compassionate, but also having boundaries like a mofo, you know what I mean? Do no harm, but take no shit. That's the mantra right now. And so when it comes to ensuring your own survival, when it comes to looking out for your best interests, including your sanity and your heart, these are things in which you may not typically be very assertive. That's about to change. So giving yourself permission to love fiercely is going to be a huge part of setting yourself up for success moving forwards. In order to take advantage of the opportunities that Venus is going to open up for you, there is a little bit of fire that you have to channel for yourself. But like I said, it's not about being out of character. In order to stay soft, we have to be really strong with our boundaries so that we can have a strong spine, for example, but a soft heart. And it may seem like two opposites that you have a hard time reconciling, but really, 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 there is a Goldilocks zone in there. So Jupiter just went direct. Jupiter is freedom, opportunities, expansion, newness, more. And for Jupiter to be moving direct in your 12th house means that anything you put on the back burner or anything that felt unattainable or just too much, it's going to return to your to-do list, but in a way where you've had enough of a break that you can reapproach it with a fresh perspective, some new ideas, and some new solutions to what might feel like really old problems. It's going to be an awesome opportunity for you to shake off the cobwebs, clear out the skeletons from your closet, put a high priority on your mental health, your dreams, your imagination, any of those things. And it really is going to be about finding that sweet spot of having nice, strong boundaries so that you can flourish in safe space. Now, the Sun and Mercury make a Cazimi today, which is they're just going to be in the exact same spot, but it looks like Mercury is swallowed up by the Sun, and that's happening in your 8th house. So there might be some really, really cool spiritual or cosmic sort of breakthrough happening for you this weekend. It could be a realization about life, the universe, and everything. It could be a realization about your own wishes, your dreams, your manifestations. You might become aware of some sort of karmic, generational, or energetic pattern that exists in your life. But the idea is, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And seeing something for what it is the beginning of being able to deal with it. When we don't know what to do, it's because we don't really fully understand either what we're dealing with or what power we have to approach these challenges, right? And so there is an energy over the weekend and then moving into this week where light bulb moments, conversations that lead to connection, realizations either in the astral realm or in your own consciousness. But staying open, staying fluid, staying curious is going to be the key to unlocking some of these things that you want to move through. Now, with Uranus in the 11th house, the biggest obstacle that you are personally struggling against, well, one of the ones, is indicated by this feeling that like change is being forced upon you. There's chaos in the outside world that you are either completely powerless to change or completely overwhelmed by. And so when we make a list, whether it be mental or literal, of the stuff that we're dealing with and hoping to resolve, anything where you're like, wow, that is like seriously out of my hands, I literally can't do anything about it, go ahead and just scratch it off the list. If it feels like something you would want to do, you could do what's called let go and let God. Just be like, God, I don't know what to do about this. Universe, the force, whatever, spirit, I don't know what to do about this. I need you to put this on your to-do list. And then come back to the things that are genuinely within your control. If you're overwhelmed by the chaos of the world, only read the news in small doses and stick to places like Democracy Now!, NPR, PBS, things where it's an independent news source, not mainstream media outlets. You might also be in the large and growing group of people that's deciding to shut down your social media or whatever it is. You know, bringing things back to what feels tangible and achievable for you is going to help you overcome that feeling of overwhelm. And feeling overwhelmed right now is absolutely valid and definitely a common experience. So huge hugs to you guys if you're going through that. Now, the full moon in Leo is going to be in your second house, which is really cool because it's going to shine a light on what feels tangible and achievable. And it's going to shine a light on how you can channel your values, channel what's important to you, to either create safe space for yourself or help create safe space for other people in a way that aligns with your ideals, your dreams, your abilities. So the full moon is definitely going to feel empowering, enlightening, and hopefully uplifting, even though there's so much that's really challenging right now. To shine a light on anything that feels tangible and achievable is going to feel like a boost. So that's cool. And then Mercury and the Sun move into Pisces as we start to wrap up the month, starting a month of water season. Now, not everybody is going to be comfortable with that, but because you guys are a water sign, it's totally going to be your jam. And Pisces season happens to be your 9th house of philosophy, travel, new experiences, new realizations, and fresh perspectives. So yeah, there's definitely a lot going on. And what I really like about your horoscope, your astrology right now, is the realization that there are things for you to do, or there are ways for you to take good care of yourself, setting healthy boundaries, all those kinds of things. So definitely be gentle with your brain, be gentle with yourself as far as keeping that, you know, that overwhelming aspect at enough of a distance that you can do controlled little intervals of checking in on the news or checking in on the world, and then as soon as it's too much, you're like, and we're done. Okay, going back to being safe, nourishing myself, that kind of thing. Don't feel bad about that, right? Measured doses will help you stay sane. You don't want to overwhelm yourself because you guys already have a soft heart. So I hope that helps. Happy full moon. Definitely go check out your full length horoscopes that I did a couple weeks ago for 2025. Those are going to be pretty epic if you haven't seen those already. Take good care of yourselves, and I will see you next time. Mwah. Bye. Leo Sun and Leo Rising, welcome to your horoscopes. You guys, this is the one time every year where there is going to be a full moon in your sign. Now, it does happen 6 months away from your zodiac sign, because in order to have a full moon, the sun needs to be shining on it from the opposite side of the zodiac. So yeah, Aquarius season is where Leos shine. Isn't that funny? So one of the things that we're looking at just to start off this week moving forwards, is that Venus, the planet of love, trust, and comfort, and connection, has just moved into Aries. Now, Aries is a fire sign just like you guys. So you might find that your personal energy level is a lot higher than it usually is. And that's actually going to be consistent for the next few months, because Venus is going to be kind of moving in and out of Aries for the next few months. While it does, it's activating your 9th house of possibilities. The 9th house is new, more, shooting for the stars. It is associated with philosophy, education, travel, thinking outside of the box, freshening things up. And so for Venus to be spending an extended amount of time in your 9th house over the next few weeks, for a few months, is going to be a great opportunity, especially if you want some more tools in your toolbox, to use a metaphor. That is a metaphor for the skills, abilities, skill sets, training, anything that we have that helps us be more successful in this life. So sometimes the training, the education we have is completely informal. For example, I'm self-taught. I've been reading tarot cards for 35 years and exploring astrology just because it was fun. And now, many decades down the road, I happen to be a professional and somewhat of an expert, right? But it was just for personal interest. Other people, go to college, they get a degree, a master's, a doctorate, a PhD, whatever it is. There are many, many different ways that you can equip yourself for success in this lifetime. And so while Venus is moving through your 9th house, if you have this kind of double realization of like, ooh, I want to go further, but I think I need more skills and abilities to do so, definitely keep in mind there isn't just one way to do things. Unless you're trying to be a doctor, then there's definitely one way to do things. But if your goal is to simply be a successful individual, then that's actually a huge set of possibilities and options for you. The more that you can be flexible with yourself and consider that there are many ways to do things, the more that you can reduce the stress that you typically feel. Not many people talk about it, but you guys are pretty hardcore perfectionists. And even though you have a very it's all good kind of vibe on the outside, on the inside, you guys can be absolute stress monsters. But only because you have a desire to shine brightly. You have a desire to be successful, and a very healthy fear of failure. That's okay. But the more you can be aware of your insecurities, your fears, the things that hold you back, the more that you will be equipped to work through them or work past them. If you turn a blind eye and just go, la, 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 it doesn't matter, I don't need these things, what you're actually doing is you're giving into the fear because you're avoiding it and not facing it. So with Venus moving through your 9th house, it's an amazing opportunity for you to give yourself the benefit of the doubt, to be brave, to start trying either a new pathway or a new extension on the pathway that you're already on, and to do so with a fierce, brave heart. You guys are known for being fiercely brave, and to be able to prove it to yourself is going to feel so incredible. Basically, it's about you getting bored with how things are and simply wanting something different. And so that's going to look very different to many different people, right? Depending on where you are in your life. Like I said, there isn't one way to do things. But Jupiter moving direct in your 11th house is also offering new opportunities if you want to expand your skill set or if you want to expand your personal or professional networks, because Jupiter is in your 11th house. The 11th house is art, music, humanitarianism, and basically just about being an awesome human being. It's about connecting with other human beings on this planet and finding belonging, finding cooperation, connection, cohesion. So especially if you guys have felt isolated or stagnant in your lives, this is a beautiful opportunity to move forwards, and almost kind of like with the blessings of the universe, like, here you go. If you seek it, you will find it. If you can dream it, you can be it. All bets are off, right? So the Sun and Mercury are having a Cazimi today, which is this like astrological light bulb moment of brilliant ideas, breakthroughs, or at the very least, a beautiful little twinge of inspiration and excitement. And for you guys, it's happening in your 7th house. So what might manifest for you guys, either in the last couple of days or in the next couple of days moving forwards, is feeling like somebody who's very close to you offers an idea or a word of encouragement or a reflection that is that light bulb moment. Because the 7th house is our one-on-one connections. It could be a business partner, it could be a lover, it could be a roommate, whatever it is. But somebody that you have very close connection with. And for the light bulb moment, the Cazimi to be in your 7th house could be that somebody else offers you that brilliant idea or that suggestion. So stay open. And Uranus is in your 10th house, so you may react to this idea, to this light bulb moment with, oh, that's not possible, or oh, that would never work, or so the other piece of it is be mindful of how you immediately block the idea. Question everything. Question your reactions. Question your assumptions, right? That's a big part of it, because these opportunities are here, but you might not recognize it. You might be afraid of it. So explore everything, question everything. Now, the full moon in Leo is going to be on Wednesday, February 12th, is going to be a huge boost to your spirit, to your stamina, to your heart, to your self-esteem as well. So soak it up, dear Leos. Definitely your time to shine. And then shortly after the full moon, the Sun and Mercury move into Pisces, and that's going to be your 8th house. So whatever ideas and dreams that you have, things that occur to you right now, as soon as Pisces season starts, you're going to be thinking about the energy required to pull those things off. Maybe funding, student loans, things like that, to be able to pull off whatever your next best steps are. And so Pisces season is going to be a bit of a deep dive for you as far as getting serious, getting practical, and starting to kind of pull some of these ingredients together. And in the process of doing so, you might discover a lot about your psyche, about the inner workings of your mind, or the deepest fears and biggest dreams of your heart. So be prepared. It's going to be a lot, but you're up for the task. Be brave, my friends. So that's what I've got for you guys. Definitely remember, if you can see it, you can be it. If you can dream it, you can manifest it. Believe in yourselves. I hope you have an amazing full moon. And if you haven't seen it already, I did full 2025 horoscopes for all 12 zodiac signs. It's up on my channel, so definitely go have a look. Mwah! Thanks for being here, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. Virgo Sun and Virgo Rising, welcome to your horoscopes. Venus just moved into Aries. Now, Venus is typically love, comfort, relationships, trust, but in Aries, she's a badass person. Fire, fierce fire. It's all about the fierceness of our hearts, loving fiercely. And what does it look like to love fiercely? It means to have a soft heart, to be brave and compassionate, but also to have boundaries like a mofo, because we can't be soft and open all the time. We have to keep ourselves safe. And so loving ourselves fiercely also means having boundaries that say, I will tolerate a certain level of love and respect, but I'm not going to tolerate disrespect. right? It's about having those ground rules, and it's about enforcing those ground rules as well. So for Venus to be moving through your 8th house is an interesting placement because the 8th house is associated with Scorpio. It's noticing energetic or karmic patterns. It's about feeling your way through. It's about picking up on all of the frequencies that are happening below the surface, right? Body language, subtext, vibes, right? And so you're going to be noticing the vibes in yourself and others. You may feel as though your psychic abilities are just tuned up way more than they've been in a long time. You're also going to possibly be thinking about debt. If you have it, wanting to reduce it. If you don't have it, you might be thinking about getting a loan or some sort of support so that you can achieve something financial. You also might be thinking about the finances that you share with someone, whether it be a partner or thinking about parents, aging parents, or thinking about supporting your kids. Maybe they're trying to go to school. So money is definitely going to be a theme, but not in the sense where it's like right in front of you. 8th house is like what I like to call invisible money. So like debt, credit cards, taxes, inheritances, whatever, right? That's the kind of thing. So you're going to be thinking about the power of money. If you do not have money, you might be feeling like you are not a powerful person, but money does not always make people powerful. What is that phrase? Absolute power corrupts. Money, I don't know, I've lost it. With great power comes great responsibility. Let's go with that one. You're going to be thinking about responsibility, power, and money, and about how they are all intertwined. You might be thinking about using money to empower yourself. And anything along those lines. And with Jupiter moving direct now, it's been in Gemini, it's been retrograde for a while, but it's finally moving direct. Jupiter is freedom, it's opportunities, it's expansion, it's newness, prosperity and luck. It's education and travel and philosophy as well. So with Jupiter finally moving direct in your 10th house of career, long-term plans, huge goals like buying a house or, you know, what kind of legacy am I going to leave behind? Questions like that. With Jupiter moving direct, it's an invitation for you to potentially do a deep dive with your finances, with shared finances, and think about what are my long-term goals? What are my long-term plans? How is what I'm doing right now going to either set me up for success moving forwards or potentially cause problems down the road? So deep thoughts. But the Sun and Mercury have a Cazimi today, and it's this light bulb moment of realizations. You might have your light bulb moment either in the last couple days or in the next couple of days, because it can be anywhere around that. But the Cazimi is happening in your 6th house. And so one of the things you might be realizing is that you only have so many hours in the day and there's only one of you. So it's about working smarter, not harder. There are going to be a lot of things coming up for you as far as using time wisely, questions around potentially increasing your income potential, because it's not like you can increase the hours in the day. So how can we increase our income potential, right? The other things you might be thinking about are daily habits. What is it that I'm spending my money on a daily basis that maybe I could reduce or eliminate altogether to help me achieve those financial goals, whether it be buying something or eliminating debt? So you are going to be having this kind of dual focus between what is happening in the here and now and where is it that you want to end up, and then figuring out, okay, what are the steps that are going to get me there? So very Virgo kind of things. So whether you're a Virgo sun or a Virgo rising, that's the vibe, right? Now, Uranus being in your 9th house is this sticky place of kind of feeling like, okay, I've got these obstacles. The obstacles haven't changed. How is making a different plan going to change anything, right? You might find that your belief systems, your concept of what is possible, that is the obstacle. And as you reformulate these things, you might experience depression, discouragement, frustration. So definitely practice questioning everything. Ask yourself, is that true? Has that changed? What if something else is possible? What if something else is opened up? Because as you kind of circle around these questions about debt, money, whatever it is, you may find that these very negative, very critical belief systems keep popping up for you. And that quite possibly could be the source of this feeling stuck, right? Not that you're completely wrong, but you might be more rigid, more negative than you need to be, if that makes sense. And then the full moon in Leo, there's going to be a full moon in Leo on Wednesday, February 12th. And for you guys, it's your 12th house. So it's going to shine a light on either the skeletons in your closet, if there's things that you need to deal with and kind of bring out into the open. Or one way that this full moon could manifest for you is having some wild and crazy dreams, either Technicolor dream space or prophetic, something psychic coming through. Or you also might find that your intuition, your creativity, those all might get a huge boost as well by this full moon. And one of the most amazing things about the full moon in Leo is that it does have an ability to kind of open up the heart and bring either softness or courage or stamina. It's an opportunity to shine. It's an opportunity to make breakthroughs that help you feel courageous, strong, brave, and full of self-love. So as much as you can, see if you can kind of kick that negativity, that ultra critical thought process to the curb, and just kind of embrace a little bit of hope and optimism, because that in itself, just a little bit of a vibe shift, can help you see opportunities that maybe you didn't see before. And when the Sun and Mercury move into Pisces, starting the 14th and the 18th, it's going to be activating your 7th house. So it's going to be a full month of having a big focus be on the people in your life, and a highlight on those relationships, a highlight on themes of balance, reciprocity, and healthy interactions. So that's what I've got for you guys. I hope that that's helpful. Thank you so much for being here. Happy full moon. And if you didn't see it already, I do have full-length horoscopes for 2025 up on my channel. A big scoop of the year to come. You should definitely go check those out. Mwah! Thank you, and I will see you next time. Bye. Libra Sun and Libra Rising, welcome to your horoscopes. We have a full moon in Leo. Jupiter is direct. Venus just moved into Aries. There's a whole lot to talk about, so buckle up. So yeah, Venus just moved into Aries. Aries is the opposite zodiac sign of you guys. So that means that Venus is in your 7th house. The 7th house is one-on-one relationships. And so what it's going to do for you guys is bring this energy of sweetness, this energy of cooperation, connection, and collaboration to the most important relationships in your life. Now, I do want to back up for a second, because the 7th house is not just like a lover. The relationships referred to in the 7th house can be literally anybody that we have one-on-one connections with. So yes, a lover, a partner, things like that, but it also could be a friend, it could be a roommate, it could be a business partner, or even a coworker. It's any of those where we have that one-on-one connection, not a large crowd, not a small crowd, just face to face or phone to phone, whatever it is. Now, for Venus to be moving through your 7th house brings sweetness to those connections. You may be perceiving people over the next few weeks, few months, to be softer, nicer, more receptive, and you might even be like, God, okay, this is good. Not even knowing what changed, what caused the vibe shift, but take it while you can, right? If people are nicer, people are nicer. The other thing that's happening is Jupiter is direct. Now, Jupiter is the planet of luck, prosperity, freedom, growth. It's a very positive planet. When it was retrograde, it wasn't like we weren't lucky, but it felt like we really had to dig for it. And while Jupiter was retrograde, we were doing this kind of deep dive when it comes to belief systems, philosophies, and things like that. So now that Jupiter is moving direct, it's activating your 9th house where it is at home. The 9th house is freedom, new opportunities, philosophy, travel, education, all of that. So for Jupiter to be rocking your 9th house right now is definitely kind of like all the obstacles are starting to open up. All of the closed doors are starting to unlock. And so this is going to really tie in a lot with that perception that you're going to have, that people are either nicer or more willing to be helpful or more patient or whatever the case may be, right? But like I said, just take it. Take it and run. So there is a Cazimi between the Sun and Mercury today. It's going to have this effect. You might have already felt it over the last couple of days, and it's going to have an effect that kind of lasts a couple days. But it's a very light bulb moment kind of energy. And this Cazimi happening in your 5th house is actually a great opportunity for you to, rediscover joy, rediscover creativity, work on healing your inner child. The 5th house is like the happiest house in astrology. It's joy, it's pleasure, it's romance, it's fun. So for the Cazimi to be happening in your 5th house is kind of like this energy right now of feeling like the rain clouds in your life are starting to part and the sun is coming out and the sun is shining directly on you and people are being nice to you and doors are opening up for you. You're going to be like, oh my God. But take it, like I said, right? Take it and run. The other thing too is that you may have this like suspicious resistance, like, why are people being nice to me? Why does it feel like everything's easier? And yes, absolutely, a healthy level of suspicion is always a good idea to keep ourselves safe, but don't ruin the moment, right? Don't bring yourself down by expecting the worst or figuring that something's wrong, right? It's just the astrological energy right now that this is what's setting up for you. So this is a great opportunity to ask for a raise, to ask for a promotion, to initiate a tricky conversation because people in your life are going to be more receptive, more open. It's a great opportunity to approach with laughter and play and games. And so if you approach with, hey, let's figure this out, it's going to go a lot more smoothly than let's figure this out. People will be like, oh, you know what I mean? So definitely consider that when you approach things with a playful vibe, people will respond with a playful vibe, most of the time. Yeah, the full moon in Leo. So we've got a full moon in Leo Wednesday, February 12th. It's not that far away. And it's going to be in your 11th house of community and connection. It's also going to highlight feeling like you belong. And you know, a lot of things in life make us feel isolated or make us feel like we're not good enough and things like that. And what I love seeing is that everything in your astrology right now is very, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. You know, this is an opportunity for you to smooth out connections, to find peace, to find love, to find support, and more importantly, to find belonging, to find that acceptance, especially as you embrace this authentic light that shines from your soul, to find people that are like, oh my God, I love that light that shines from your soul. It's just such a validating and affirming feeling, right? So yeah, let yourself be loved. And as the Sun and Mercury move into Pisces, as we start to wrap up the month, it's going to be a month-long period of activating your 6th house. So right now there's this planetary party in your 5th house, the house of pleasure and fun. So definitely make the most of it. It's not that it's going to go away, but when Pisces season starts, starting February 18th, there is going to be much more of a focus on daily routines, responsibilities, work, you know, having to kind of do that whole routine. So any opportunities that come up to be playful and silly and creative, definitely make the most of them. right? So that's what I've got for you guys. I hope you have an amazing couple of weeks. Happy full moon. And if you haven't seen it already, I do have 2025 horoscopes on my channel. Those ones were really in depth. I look at the entire year, and it's an amazing scoop as far as all the crazy stuff that's going to happen this year. So, yay! Mwah. Thank you for being here, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. Scorpio Sun and Scorpio Rising, welcome to your horoscopes. Hello, my friends. We're looking at Venus in Aries, Jupiter direct, full moon in Leo. There's a lot of spice, there's a lot of fire happening, but it feels fun for now. Yeah, the Venus moving into Aries is activating your 6th house. The 6th house is daily routines. It's get up, work, go to bed, that whole thing, right? But Venus moving through any zodiac sign or any part of our chart brings sweetness and softness and connection and pleasure. So for Venus to be moving through your 6th house for the next few weeks, few months actually, because it's going to go retrograde into Pisces and then back again. Basically, the first half of the year is going to be Venus moving through your 6th house of daily routines, back into your 5th house of pleasure, and then back into your 6th house of daily routines. So it feels like your journey of self-love, especially fiercely loving yourself, is going to be all about finding a happy medium, a little Goldilocks zone, between balancing work and play. And it's about making those changes and small adjustments on a daily basis. Obviously, not every single day is going to be the same. I mean, for some people, their routine is very predictable, but it is about finding ways to switch things up, mix things up, be spontaneous, be free, because Venus being in Aries is very... it's about having fun. It's like the child of the zodiac. It's sure, I'll do karaoke on a Tuesday night, no problem, whatever, you know. Obviously don't set yourself up for failure in your work life, but that's the kind of spontaneity and fun that Venus in Aries is going to bring for you guys. The other thing about it too is that if you work in any kind of an industry where you're working off of contracts, gigs, and there's more of a hustle to it, the Venus moving through your 6th house is going to bring more opportunities. Now, they might be short-lived opportunities because Aries has kind of ADD, but if you're looking for quick gigs, side work, you know, some sort of a side gig, anything like that, there's going to be lots of lucrative opportunities over the next little bit. Aries is also very physical as far as physical activity, physical play, exercise, moving the body, things like that. So that's another area of huge potential right now as well. So Venus is moving through your 6th house. Money is going to be easier to come by, but you might also find that your habits might become you might become painfully aware of your habits, because with Venus in Aries in your 6th house, you might start to realize how your spontaneity is sometimes an unhealthy choice or an unhealthy reaction to the stress that you're experiencing. So for some people, that could look like being so stressed out that you buy cigarettes for the first time in a long time, or you start drinking for the first time in a long time. When you know that that's not good for you, but you have this burning desire to escape reality, dull the senses, reward yourself for a really difficult day, whatever it is. So part of that Venus and Aries in your 6th house journey might be coming to the realization that you need better, healthier coping mechanisms. And that's where physical activity might end up being a better solution for you. The other thing that's happening, Jupiter's moving direct. It's in the 8th house for you guys, your 8th house. And your 8th house is also ruled by Scorpio. So we got this funny little triangle of realizations happening, because Jupiter is all about how can I expand? How can I grow? How can I embrace more or new or fresh, right? And so with Jupiter moving through your 8th house, you might be thinking about, I want to expand my finances, or I want to have more energy, things like that. And so your concept of more with Jupiter is going to be around things that aren't necessarily tangible, like money. Sometimes the money we have is what I like to call invisible, because it's on a credit card, or it's a loan, or it's debt, or it's in a bank account and you never actually touch it. So your concept of more, especially if you're looking for more energy, these things, you're trying to attain something that you're not necessarily touching, and so your strategy of attaining it might feel like you're trying to have a foot in both worlds. So more energy is going to involve, okay, what is taking my energy? How can I go back a few steps and be like, what is sucking the life out of me? Is it capitalism? Is it my work? Is it society? So there is going to be this theme of whatever it is you want more of. You might have to do some backtracking to figure out why you have less of it than what you want. I hope that makes sense. It's kind of an abstract concept that you're going to want to bring into reality. The other thing is that the Sun and Mercury are having a Cazimi. It's this light bulb moment in Aquarius. So when it comes to inventing or imagining a new way of doing things, now is the time. The Cazimi is happening today, but it has an influence of plus or minus a couple days. And so for the Cazimi to be happening in your 4th house of emotional health, family, safety, you may realize that the source of your trouble or the answer to your problems all comes down to what is the foundation from which I am trying to grow. If you're like, oh man, I don't know why I don't have any energy. And then it's like, well, the place that I live is next to the train tracks. I don't have much energy because I listen to the trains all night. Whatever it is, right? So this is where coming back to basics. Are you getting enough food, sleep, water? Do you feel safe? Do you have housing security? Do you have food security? We cannot even venture into life fulfillment, relationships, career, any of those things if we don't have those basic needs met. And so that's another spot where you might have to go back a few steps to figure out how to move forwards. But if you make sure to meet those basic needs, if you make sure to fill your cup before trying to fill other people's cups, the more you can simplify, the more everything is going to make more sense. The full moon in Leo on February 12th, only a couple of days away, is going to activate your 10th house. Now the 10th house is ruled by Capricorn, where things feel very black and white. It's very realistic, but like sobering realistic. So the full moon in your 10th house on Wednesday is going to shine a light on, if you want to achieve this thing over here, you have to be soberly realistic about where you are right now. It's not that tomorrow is going to take care of tomorrow. You have to take care of tomorrow. And so by being practical, by implementing some basic steps, by getting serious about what it is that you want to achieve or feel or manifest in your life, that is how you're going to put it together. But yeah, you might have to get more serious about that thing than you usually like to be serious about things. So yeah, it's not the end of the world, but it's that if I want to climb that mountain, I better be in better shape kind of feeling, right? And then as the Sun and Mercury move into Pisces, Mercury moves into Pisces on February 14th and the Sun on the 18th. So it's not that far away. We're almost at Pisces season. But when Pisces season starts, that is a water sign just like yourself. Totally going to be your jam, although not every sign does well in Pisces season. But you guys are going to be great because Pisces season activates your 5th house. 5th house is pleasure, joy, fun, feeling like a kid again, romance, connection, creativity. So you guys are definitely setting yourselves up for success, but there's this wee bit of a checkpoint here where it's like, are you being realistic? Are you being practical? Are you sticking within a budget? Are you making healthy choices? And if you can check all those things off, then you're going to be good to go, right? So I hope that helped. Thank you so much for being here. Happy full moon. If you haven't seen it already, I have full-length horoscopes for 2025 available on my channel. Those are pretty epic, so definitely go check those out. And I will see you in my next video. Mwah. Take care. Hello, Sagittarius. Sagittarius Sun and Sagittarius Rising, welcome to your horoscopes. One of the coolest things about the next few days is that there's going to be a full moon in Leo, and Leo's a fire sign, you are a fire sign, and together magic happens. Adding to this fire magic, Venus just moved into Aries, which is the third and final fire sign. So as far as feeling elementally supported from the universe, from the world, from the fire within yourself, this is definitely a time full of magic and potential, but also lots and lots and lots of kinetic energy. So jumping back to elementary school science, kinetic energy is energy that is stored and full of potential and activated with motion. So if you feel like there is like this Tasmanian tornado of energy inside of you, it is an invitation for you to channel it positively, productively, creatively, physically, energetically, however you can. But the idea is that if we do not give this intense energy a channel or an outlet, it's going to come out anyway. And if it does so without a filter and without restraint, it can potentially burn. That's the element of fire. Fire as an element, especially with your sign, you know, there's 3 fire signs. Aries is like the laser beam of fire. Leo is like a bonfire. But Sagittarius energy is more like a room full of candles. It's warm, it's inviting, it's stimulating, it's romantic and mysterious, but it's not like in your face all the time, unless you channel it to be so. Sagittarius can either be that happy-go-lucky friends with anybody, or Sagittarius can be the one who says the thing that everybody else was thinking but nobody else was brave enough to say. The Sagittarius definitely has a few different forms. And so as you come into your own, as you feel the fire, the energy, the inspiration moving through you and moving through your life, you get to choose where it goes. And that is the potential of Venus right now. So Venus is comfort, love, trust, abundance, it's connections, it's cohesion, it's feeling safe and secure, either with other people or with our physical environment, with our money, with our lives that we have created, whatever it is. And so when Venus is moving through Aries, it just moved into Aries a couple of days ago, it is inviting all of us to embrace the element of fire when it comes to our hearts. So loving fiercely, living fiercely, having, you know, we can be really, really kind-hearted, amazingly compassionate individuals, but the only way to stay soft is to have strong boundaries that keep us safe. And that might be one thing that comes up for you. Now with Venus moving through Aries, it's actually going to be back and forth all the way through till April, because Venus will go retrograde this year. And so we will all have a chance to find that happy medium between loving fiercely, Venus in Aries, and loving softly, Venus in Pisces. But we just came out of Venus in Pisces. We are moving into the fierce part, so buckle up, right? And for you guys with Venus moving through Aries, it's going to be your 5th house, which is actually one of the most beautiful, fun parts of anybody's astrological chart, because the 5th house is pleasure, joy, romance, fun, it's creativity, it's feeling like a kid again. It's that kind of happy sunshine energy, which is awesome. So with Venus moving through your 5th house, you are going to be fiercely loving the people in your life and fiercely defending your happiness, your sanity, carving out time for yourself to be creative and silly and have fun. So this is beautiful because it's really putting the emphasis on filling your cup first before you try and fill other people's cups, which can be a little bit of a weak spot for you. You care so much about the people in your life that you will often put yourself out to take care of other people. And one of the things you might notice over the next few weeks and over the next few months is the importance of putting yourself first every now and then. And so if that's something that feels like a stretch for you, get ready to grow. The other thing that's happening is that Jupiter, who is your planetary ruler, Jupiter just went direct. So when anybody's planetary ruler is retrograde, it feels as though we ourselves are either held back or going through some sort of a tough or stagnant period in our lives. So if you felt like that over the last few months, you're definitely not alone. And now that Jupiter is moving direct, it's going to feel like all systems go. You're going to feel like your life force is returning tenfold. You may feel as though your hope is returning, your peace of mind, your sanity, your creativity, your inspiration. It's going to feel like, okay, things are just kind of starting to wake up and feel more alive. And a lot of this is going to feel like an internal process for you. But the other thing is that because because Jupiter is in Gemini, for you, that's your 7th house. Now, the 7th house is one-on-one relationships. It's how we interact with the closest people in our lives. It could be a lover, a partner, a friend, a coworker, somebody in your business, a neighbor, a roommate. But it's those really, really close connections that we have where we're dealing one-on-one with people. So for Jupiter to be in your 7th house and now moving direct, one of the themes that's going to come up for you is freedom within relationships. So if you perceive other people to be free, but you don't have those same abilities, you're not going to be okay with that. If it feels as though your partner, your lover, your roommate, your bestie, they all have freedom, but somehow you're chained down, that's going to cause a great deal of irritation and frustration for you. When it comes to the theme of freedom within relationships, the other thing is that you're going to want to feel free to be yourself within the connections that you have. Obviously, the connection in a romantic or a bestie kind of situation, there's going to be way more space for you to be free to be yourself. But when it comes to things like the workplace, in the eyes of your boss, in the eyes of your coworkers or a business partner, the context is different. And therefore, the ability to be free is going to be different. And some of us can kind of make peace with that because that's the context, right? We can't expect total freedom in a professional situation. However, if you feel unnaturally held back, if you feel like squashed or stuck in a box, restricted, prisoner, anything like that in your relationships or in your workplace, those things might end up being non-negotiable issues that have to be released in order for you to find that freedom. So expect to feel a little bit antsy, a little bit, like, what do they call it? Twitchy feet when you want to travel or when you're restless, you know what I mean? That's going to kind of be the vibe. But that restlessness that arises from within your heart is going to show you the pathway or the situations in which part of your core needs is to feel more free or to feel more authentic. The other thing that is associated with that position is perhaps wanting to learn more about the people around you or learn more to be a better partner. You may find that a relationship is stagnant, and so you might need a relationship counselor. You might need a private counselor to figure out how to work through some sticky spots. So that's going to be one of the biggest themes moving forwards. But a lot of it is going to come down to, are we having fun? You know, in work, might not be, but in your relationships, you damn well better should be, right? So these things are going to become really important to you. Now, Uranus is very slowly moving through your 6th house. And so you're going to notice that your daily life is changing, or maybe you're adjusting to a new daily routine. You might have a new job or new situations within your job that you're having to adjust to. And there is a bit of maybe feeling like you're swimming against the current. You might be feeling like a lot of what you're dealing with is out of your control. So be mindful of the snap reaction of, F it, maybe I just need to leave. You're going to want to temper that reactivity with a little bit of practical reality, just kind of helping you get a better sense of what you're dealing with, because that impulsiveness, that Venus and Aries impulsiveness, may lead you to kind of burn a bridge or drop a truth bomb, and only you know what is appropriate, right? So the full moon in Leo that I was talking about, there's definitely going to be a lot of tension leading up to it. You're probably already feeling it. And the tension, there's always tension that leads up to a full moon because it is a peak of energy. But this full moon is going to be in your 9th house. 9th house is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is your planetary ruler. A little bit of a pattern here. The full moon is going to show you where and when you want to be free. And so depending on how free you are right here, right now, it's either going to feel affirming, like, awesome, that's my goal, I'm already on my way, or it's going to be this awful, yucky feeling of feeling like where I want to be is like on a different planet. I'm not even close. And so just depending on how much of a distance you gauge between the reality you have right now and the ideal reality where you would really like to be, this full moon could be either affirming or disruptive, depending on how you feel about right here, right now. But the full moon is going to lead to breakthroughs and understanding. Whatever jealousy or yearning or envy you feel in your heart, that is useful information. That is telling you what it is that your soul wants. And so before you burn a bridge or drop a bomb, like truth bomb or whatever, just kind of do a little bit of a deep dive and ask yourself, what is that I believe about myself? What is it I believe about this situation? And what is it I believe about possibilities, future, and opportunities? And just kind of think before you make any major decisions. Because that peak energy of the full moon, within a day or two, it's going to subside, and we're going to be moving into Pisces season. Mercury's moving into Pisces, and so is the sun. There's going to be waterworks, there's going to be tears, there's going to be lots of big feelings. And so the desire to take action that you feel in the next few days may change drastically after the full moon. So this is where it's really important to take all that useful information, work with it, but maybe wait a day or two before you actually take action, to make sure it's not just a fleeting thing for you. But yeah, lots of big stuff. It's all about emotional safety and stability. It's all about feeling safe to be authentically yourself. And it's all about that big question about whether or not the people in your life either support these core needs of yours or perhaps get in the way of these core needs. So sending you guys all my love. Thank you so much for being here. Happy full moon. And if you haven't seen it already, definitely go check out your full-length detailed horoscopes that I did a couple weeks ago, looking at the whole year 2025. There's a lot of really good stuff in there. It's going to be an epic year, so you should definitely go check that out. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Capricorn Sun and Capricorn Rising, welcome to your horoscopes. We've got a lot of fire energy coming in as we close out Aquarius season and moving into Pisces season, starting with Venus having just moved into Aries. Venus is the planet that we all associate with love and relationships, but Venus is all about feeling comfortable and safe within the context of other people, but also within the context of what we manifest, like abundance, prosperity, comfort, security, those sorts of things. So Venus having just moved into Aries brings this laser-like focus that can burn because of how intense it is. And for you guys, Venus has just moved into your 4th house. Now, when we look at an astrological chart, the 4th house is at the very bottom. It tends to be subconscious. It tends to be internal because it refers to the heart, our feelings, and it also refers to our literal home. Kind of has two pieces there. But Venus moving into Aries is bringing an energy of loving fiercely, and you love fiercely. Capricorns, whether you're a Capricorn Sun or Capricorn Rising, part of who you are is to love with all your heart and soul. You may be slow to warm up to people, but when someone has earned their way into your heart, you want to love forever. You don't ever want those people to leave. And so you might be struggling over the next few weeks, maybe few months, with feeling as though other people's love has ADD. You don't develop affection without reason. You are typically someone who really spends a long time deciding anything it is you do, life decisions, relationships, anything like that. But Venus in Aries is very ADD. And in moving through your fourth house, you may be struggling to rectify deep feelings for other people who may not have that same attention span. You may be frustrated with people coming and going. You may be frustrated that you want to feel as though you can depend on people and have that be kind of the anchor or the foundation of where you grow. But if you don't feel like you can count on people, if you don't feel like people have that long attention span, that devotion, that loyalty, you may possibly feel like you don't have a foundation. Venus moving through the fourth house is going to shake things up when it comes to your emotional health, emotional stability, and your sense of safety and security. And like I said, it could come in a couple of different forms, either the affection that you share, the love that you share, or within your literal actual house. So what it is encouraging all of us to do, Venus and Aries, is encouraging us to also love fiercely, to be kind, but also to have boundaries like a mofo. And so if you feel slighted, if you feel bothered, if your heart feels like it's being messed with, it's going to be really important for you to vocalize that, express that, not in a way that burns, but in a way that conveys, when you do the thing, I feel, blah, 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 blah. When you, I feel is a great way to start a conversation about feelings. And so hopefully you can get some dialogue going. Now, Jupiter just went direct. Jupiter has been retrograde for a few months. It is the planet of freedom, philosophy, travel, shooting for the stars, trying new things. And when Jupiter was retrograde for the last few months, in a lot of ways it felt like there weren't any options. There wasn't anywhere to grow. And so it was a bit of a deep dive. And now that Jupiter is moving direct, it's moving through your sixth house, which means that in your daily life, new opportunities are going to start to open up. If you find that the love that you have is not fulfilling or stable enough for you, you might find new opportunities to find that love in your day-to-day life. You guys are workaholics pretty typically, and you may choose to redirect that affection or that attention to your daily life because work is very straightforward. You put in energy, you get money. Bingo, done. Not complicated, right? And so you may find that if love or emotions feel really complicated, your autopilot is going to be to go in the direction of something that feels very simple and straightforward. So work is going to be great. You're going to do great if you put your energy into work, physical activity, healthy choices, healthy habits, taking care of your mental health, taking care of your physical health, any of those things. Lots of possibilities will open up that way. But also if you feel like you're really struggling, learning more about your mental health, learning more about the people in your life will help you understand, will help you see the bigger picture. So don't be afraid to read a book, talk to a therapist, ask for the advice of someone wise, because sometimes it really is just a matter of not understanding. And the more we understand, the more we can move forwards with clarity, right? The Sun and Mercury are having a Cazimi right now in Aquarius. You may have already felt it for the last couple of days, and it's going to have an effect for the next couple of days as well. But it's very light bulb moment realization kind of energy. Now, part of those realizations that are coming through are realizations of where and when we're stuck, where and when we really need to change our perspectives, our approach, our philosophies, whatever it is. The Cazimi is happening in your second house, so it's becoming really, really clear to you what it is you value. And you might be comparing your values with the values of the people in your life. But the stuck part, Uranus is in your fifth house. There may be an aspect of having fun that you don't want to let go of. There may be an aspect of childish feelings or desires or behaviors that you don't want to let go of. What this positioning suggests is that a certain level of maturity is going to be required in order to truly align with the values that you have, and to be really clear that you're aligning with the values of other people. You may come to the realization that certain relationships in your life, personal or professional, just don't feel fun anymore. That's going to be one of those things where you're like, if it's not fun, I don't want to do it anymore. And that's okay. That's a valid response. So definitely lots of deep thoughts, definitely a lot of stuff happening for you internally right now, but it's all kind of leading to this peak at the full moon. So only in a few days, on February 12th, we have a full moon in Leo, and it's kind of at the final degrees of Leo. So there might be a sense of urgency when it comes to expressing yourself or figuring out these energetic or karmic patterns that you're dealing with. It may feel life or death for you. It may feel like, I have to figure this out kind of feeling, right? So if you feel really, really, really like overclumped about everything that's happening, self-care, slow down time, move your physical body, journal, like write some stuff out. You don't have to keep it. You could be like, F this effing stuff, blah, 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 blah. But the idea is you're just getting it out. And then you can crumple up the piece of paper and you can let it go. The biggest challenge for you is going to be not imploding. You want to get those feelings and those thoughts out to keep yourself healthy. And then shortly after the full moon, all of this fiery energy actually subsides quite a bit. Mercury's moving into Pisces, and then the sun moves into Pisces by the 18th. So, just not that long away, only a few days away. It's going to be a big elemental shift into water signs. I am drawing all over my hands. When the sun and Mercury move into Pisces, it's going to be activating your third house. Now, the third house is like our VIP people. It's the person we call when we need to talk about stuff or when we want some tea. It's that sense of safety and connection that exists in the smaller circles that we have, whether it be like a bestie or a roommate or siblings or anything like that, right? And so you may find that as we move into Pisces season, you're going to take a big step back away from quantity when it comes to friends, and you're going to really be focusing on quality. Who are my high VIP people where I feel like our values align? I feel like I'm having fun. I feel like I'm surrounded by decent human beings. Whatever your list is, it's going to become really clear what your list is. It's going to be really clear what's just not in alignment. And then it's also going to become really clear, which parts of these things are you co-creating, and how could you possibly take a step back and shift the dynamic entirely, right? So big, heavy stuff, deep stuff, not the end of the world, but it's going to be hugely awakening and freeing, because it's going to help you see better what your next best steps are. So I hope you guys have an amazing couple weeks. Happy full moon. Thank you for being here. And if you're interested, on my YouTube channel, I also have full-length detailed horoscopes for the whole year. I did an overview of the big changes, the astrological things that are happening for 2025. It's epic. So if you haven't seen it yet, you should definitely go check it out. And yeah, take care, you guys. I will see you next time. Mwah. Bye. Aquarius Sun and Aquarius Rising, welcome to your horoscopes. Thank you for being here. It is Aquarius season, and so if you've had a birthday or you have a birthday coming up, happy birthday, my friends. Happy trip around the sun and many, many more to come. So, Aquarius season is actually almost over. It's one of the shortest zodiac signs, and to be an Aquarius is actually the most rare zodiac sign out there. So, congratulations for being super special, you guys. Aquarius season is wrapping up. The sun moves into Pisces on February 18th, so it's not that long away. And before we finish up Aquarius season, though, there's a couple of big things that are happening. Venus just moved into Aries. So Venus is the planet of love, trust, relationships, but it's also comfort. It is security and safety. And so Venus having just moved into Aries is an indication that every now and then we need to fight for what we love. We need to fight for those we love, or we need to have fierce hearts to defend our ability to be soft, to be free, to be ourselves. And so you may find that even though you're typically pretty calm, cool, and collected, that over the next few weeks, few months, you might be more fiery than you usually are, specifically in situations in which your heart is touched or your heart is affected. Now, Venus being in Aries is activating your third house, so that really doubles down on the part of Venus in Aries where we fight for those we love. The third house where Venus is right now, for you guys, third house is our VIP people. It's our closest connections. It starts with our siblings and early childhood friends, and then it ends up evolving into like our little crew, our crew of people. And of course, our crew evolves over time as we evolve over time. But for Venus to be moving through your third house means that you're going to be speaking love. You're going to be focused on the love that you share with your favorite people in the world. And you might even fiercely want to defend them from a place of love. We can stand up against injustice by speaking out, by drawing a line, by drawing attention, so that things don't happen in darkness. You know what I mean? Apathy is the silent killer. And so what's coming through for you guys is that you will not be apathetic. You will be vocal. You will be involved, whether it be celebrating or defending, definitely being lifted off your seat by whatever it is that motivates you or inspires you. And these could be joyful declarations of love, right? It's not just about fiercely defending people, but there's both sides to the same coin. Now, Jupiter just went direct. Jupiter has been retrograde for months, and so for Jupiter, the planet of freedom, to be moving direct now, it's off and running. It's going to be direct for most of the year. It's not going to go retrograde again until almost the end of the year. And so Jupiter is now on a big journey. It is finishing up its journey through Gemini, which is an air sign just like yourself. And so you might feel over the next few months like there is a sense of urgency around whatever it is that you've been focusing on when it comes to your belief systems, when it comes to the freedom that you enjoy or the freedom that you're pursuing. You might be wrapping up education, learning experiences, formal or informal. Jupiter is moving through your fifth house. And so the idea is that if you're expanding your possibilities, you're doing so that you can have more fun. If you're learning something new right now, you're doing so that you can be more creative, more unique, more aligned with your authentic self in this lifetime. You might be learning about how to either be a parent or be a better parent. The fifth house is about pleasure, creativity, play. It's also about children, whether it be children in your life or the inner child inside of your heart. So there's a lot of growth happening for you guys in some really, really, really positive directions. But I did want to throw that in about that sense of urgency, because as Jupiter finishes up, you may feel as though something really important inside of yourself is finishing up as well. Now, today is a Sun and Mercury Cazimi in your zodiac sign. So there is this energy of like light bulb moments, big realizations, either creative inspiration or some sort of idea or a solution to a problem, or just like an aha moment. And it does have an effect of kind of influencing the last couple days, or also maybe the next couple of days. But what's going to happen is that this Cazimi is going to help you align who you are with how you see yourself. Finding this sense of cohesiveness, because sometimes it feels like the inner me and the outer me are almost like two different people, right? Like everybody goes through that. But the Cazimi happening today is going to be activating your first house of identity and self-expression. So there's going to be some sort of connection, common thread, moment of cohesion or unification when it comes to feeling as though you're getting closer to being the most authentic version of yourself. And that just means that there isn't a huge distance between the inside you and the outside you. They're starting to be very similar, right? And you may feel as though everything that you're doing, the ultimate goal is to feel healthier, happier, and safer in your life, safer in your body, safer in your heart. It may involve prioritizing mental health or healthy relationships, but that's really what it is. It's very almost like laser-like focus into making sure that you are being the best person you can be, and you're surrounding yourself with other individuals that are focused on being awesome human beings as well. So there's a full moon in Leo in just a few days on the 12th, Wednesday the 12th, and it's going to be in your 7th house. Now, full moons are always a time of peak energy. And for it to be happening in your 7th house, you may feel fine, but you may be looking at the people in your life going, oh my God, like what is up with people? You might feel like your partner or, you know, a lover or a roommate or some of these close people, you might feel like they're just off their rocker right now. It is a very, very intense full moon. And just by the positioning in the astrology right now, you will be a bit affected, but you're going to feel like it's other people that are the most affected. So be careful not to project too much. And if people around you are having a huge emotional reaction, you got to consider at least on some level that you're either part of it or perpetuating it, or you know what I mean? You can't always be like, I don't know why they're acting like that. Do make sure to take a little bit of personal responsibility there. But the most likely outcome, the most likely way that the full moon scenario is going to play out is that someone in your life is going to be having a hard time, and you're going to be that awesome human being that's there and available to help them. And it's awesome if you can be a helpful, supportive individual, but just be careful not to be turned into a doormat. Not that you would put up with that very much, but that is a possibility here. Now, very shortly after the full moon, like I was saying, Aquarius season wraps up on the 18th. And when the Sun and Mercury move into Pisces, it's going to be activating your second house. Second house is values, what we manifest. It's our immediate environment that we can like touch and feel. And so for the next month after Aquarius season wraps up, it may be more emotional than you're used to, especially if you are feeling like there's a big difference between what's happening in here and what's happening out here. That is the biggest thing that's coming through for you guys lately. The level to which you can be authentic, the level to which your immediate environment is reflecting back to you your hard work, your values, what it is you care about, right? And so the greater the distance, the greater the emotional reaction. But one day at a time, 1 minute at a time, take things nice and slow, nice and easy, be gentle with yourself, and this too shall pass. After the full moon, it's going to chill out a whole lot and be way more subdued moving forwards for at least a couple days, right? Yeah. Sending you guys all my love. Thank you so much for being here. I also have 2025 horoscopes on my YouTube channel available for anybody to watch, giving you an overview of what to expect for the whole year. It's going to be epic. Thank you for being here, and I will see you guys next time. Mwah. Take care. Right, Pisces Sun and Pisces Rising. Welcome to your horoscopes. Lots going on, and it's almost your birthday month for those of you that are a Pisces Sun. And so whether you're a Pisces Sun or Pisces Rising, as you approach Pisces season, there's a sense of things wrapping up. You may be expecting things to wrap up or actually witnessing things wrap up. There's also a sense of kind of taking stock of what the last year held for you and maybe formulating some goals or some visions about what you'd like to do or manifest or step into in this year. So it's really cool to kind of have that reflective experience for sure. So as we wrap up Aquarius season, it's definitely going to be a jam-packed week and a half here. Venus just moved into Aries, and for you guys, that's your second house. You are going to be fiercely pursuing that which you value, pouring your heart and your soul into your manifestations, into your work, into your money. There is a bit of a risk of, if you feel unsettled, if you feel unfulfilled, there's a risk of turning to retail therapy, thinking that if you spend money, you're going to feel better. You might briefly, but then you might have buyer's remorse. So if you feel yourself going in that direction, take a step back and ask, what is the need that I'm trying to fill? What is this feeling that I'm trying to nurture or attend to? Excuse me, because quite likely a purchase isn't what it was that your heart really needed, right? Venus moving through the second house for anybody has that risk of retail therapy, but it's because Venus represents comfort, security, safety. And if we don't have it with other people, we tend to seek it with possessions or substances. There's a lot of different ways that we as humans try to meet those needs. The less clear we are on what the need is, then the less clear we are as far as trying to meet that need. There's a whole bunch of bumbling and confusion, right? But if we can get really, really, really clear on what it is that we're feeling, what it is that we're experiencing, and the subsequent need that we're trying to meet inside of ourselves, the more we can be clear about that, the more we can be clear about how to resolve it or deal with it or attend to it, right? So that's going to be one of the biggest things over the next few weeks and few months for you, because Venus is going to move through Aries, then it's going to turn retrograde, go back into Pisces, and then go back into Aries, all the way through up until April, like end of April maybe. So whatever it is that comes up for you now, if you can approach it with clarity, humble awareness, compassion, and self-love, you're going to set yourself up for success, because these are going to be recurring themes for, I'm not kidding, 4 or 5 months. So better you figure it out now than getting yourself stuck in a loop until April, right? And I say 4 or 5 months because even though everything starts moving forwards by April, there's often a feeling like we're kind of retracing our steps before we really feel like we can move past it and let it go. So yeah, anything that comes up for you, see if you can simplify your experience, simplify the emotions, sit with the emotions, and just take things one step at a time. The other big news is that Jupiter has now finally gone direct. Jupiter is freedom, expansion, luck, prosperity, new things, more things. It's that part of ourselves that is insatiable, that we're always thirsty, we're always hungry for information, experiences, connections, right? So while Jupiter has been retrograde, it's almost felt like there was this insatiable hunger that we didn't really know how to fill or feed. And when Jupiter or any planet goes retrograde, it's kind of like, okay, I gotta do a deep dive and figure out what the heck is happening. So you may feel like you've already done a deep dive. You may feel like you've already been really kind of cocooning and figuring your stuff out, right? So now that Jupiter is finally moving direct, and it's moving direct in your 4th house, emotionally you're going to feel better. Within your home or within your family, you're going to be feeling a lot healthier and a lot better. And so that's where sometimes we have a tendency to backtrack. When things are hard, we're willing to look at what sucks and we're willing to do the hard work to fix it. But when things are easy, we forget to set a budget. We forget to be healthy. We forget to stick to the healthy food that we know is going to make us feel better, right? And so that's what I mean, is that now that Jupiter is going to start going direct, you might forget all the hard work that you've done. Not that you're going to forget all about it, but you might backtrack, you might slip up, you might make rookie mistakes, right? So just watch that tendency to potentially fly off the handle. Like that meme, what's that meme where it's like, live like a dog who just realized the gate is open, you know? That's the kind of vibe coming through for you guys. Now today, and affecting a couple days prior and a couple days to come, today is a Cazimi. And a Cazimi is when any planet is in the exact same spot as the sun, and it leads to like an aha light bulb kind of moment. It can lead to awakenings, inspiration, breakthroughs, and for you guys, it's happening in your 12th house. So something that was hidden is going to be revealed. Some sort of mystery is going to be solved. Something that you were feeling really in the dark about is going to have light or awareness shown on it. So you may feel as though the answers come to you in a dream. You may feel that whatever creative writing blocks you had, oh my gosh, they've been lifted. You're feeling creative, you're feeling inspired, any of those things. But the other thing too is that you might have an intuitive moment, an intuitive dream, or a sense that you were intuitively right about something. So it could be new information, or it could be confirming something that you needed confirmation or closure on. And this Cazimi can definitely be used to your advantage, especially when it comes to asking yourself, what are my next best steps? How can I set a healthy plan for the future? How can I grow my business? How can I grow my social, personal, or professional connections? How can I get better about setting new healthy habits and actually sticking to them? So it's a very positive and productive time for you. It's definitely a time of feeling like obstacles are either less of an issue or disappearing altogether. So positive news all around. And then there's a full moon in Leo in just a few days on Wednesday, February 12th. And it's going to be lighting up your 6th house of work, money, daily routines, and health. So any full moon brings with it a peak of energy, and just like we would see like a full moon shining in the night sky, that lit up, shining a light energy is how we metaphorically look at the effect it would have in astrology. So the full moon in Leo is going to be shining a light on your health, on your daily routines, on your mental health, but also it's going to be inspiring you to shine bright in your day-to-day life. A little bit more creative, a little bit more, pep in your step, that kind of energy. So definitely a big boost for you guys. And then shortly after the full moon, the energy shifts dramatically. Any stress or tension building up as we approach this full moon is going to very quickly dissipate, because the full moon's the 12th, and then on the 14th, Mercury moves into Pisces, and on the 18th, the sun moves into Pisces. So it's going to transition into a gentle boost for your spirit, for your intuition, for everything that makes you feel so uniquely, amazingly you. It's going to be a beautiful segue into kind of tying up any loose ends, cementing anything that you've learned or worked through, any ways in which you have grown and worked so hard to get where you are. This next 2-week period is all about, like I said, tying up those loose ends, putting a little bow on it, journaling, really doing that whole like year-end recap for yourself, either literally or maybe just in your head, doesn't even matter, because what comes next as we move into Pisces season is you stepping into a whole new chapter of your life where you feel more aligned with yourself than you've ever been before, more authentic, more fiercely in love with yourself, and learning to be fiercely in love with your life as well. So yeah, keep going. If you feel stuck, it might be a little bit of little stuff you have to work through, but everything in your astrology right now is pointing more towards looking after the fine details. You already know the bigger picture. You already know the big stuff. It's not about big realizations at this point. It's about, oh, now I see, now I get it. I see how it all clicks together kind of thing. So yeah. Thank you for being here. Sending you guys all my love. Happy full moon. And if you haven't seen it already, a couple of weeks ago, I did a full-length detailed horoscope for 2025, like the whole year. So you can get an idea of what to expect from the epic astrology this year and maybe even plan ahead. So I hope that helps. Go check that out. Yeah, sending you guys all my love. Mwah! Good luck out there. Happy full moon. And I will see you next time. Bye.